Okay, we're recording. Hi, Rick DiClemente here in Pittsburgh with starself.com and Astrology Unplugged. Welcome. We're going to talk about lots of astrology, keeping it light. And it's not a regular course, but we're going to talk about anything from A to Z. And I've determined after about 12 weeks that what we need to do as a group with different levels of experience is see chart after chart after chart after chart. So there's no special reason that tonight's subject is Bill Cosby's chart. He's just one I picked out of a bucket. Certainly going through an awful lot. I'm going to show you what I got. Also, one I'm keeping on a back burner I want to show you is the chart of Putin. Putin's chart is extremely interesting. But also tonight, I'm going to, besides show you the chart of Cosby and what is causing the pressure on him, I'm going to do two of the students here, two of the viewers here, Karen D. and Helena. So welcome aboard. This will appear tomorrow. Hello there. Oh, David's here. So we got to play for David. Oh, that's about it. You wanted to hear me play now. So that's about all I can do. I'm going to mute all of your audios. Please mute your audios. And then when you need to talk later, unmute yourself. Okay. Tonight we're going to study Cosby's chart. Cosby is the only name in the entire book that we wrote that we need to change. Because when we wrote our book 5 years ago, we were writing the Cancer section, and we wrote it, we referred to him as America's funny boy or America's own child or something. But I'm sure America feels a little bit differently about him now after all these allegations came out. I've been reading about his history, and he has had sexual allegations since 1965 when he was 28 years old. This is a very intriguing chart. It's not really a chart for beginners, but you're still going to learn from it. Hi, John. You're still going to learn for it because the birth chart shows hints of trouble. But we're going to look at some harmonic charts, and I'll explain to you what they are. They're advanced charts, but in time you will start to see a chart is a chart is a chart. And when we get to his sexual harmonic chart, his power harmonic chart, his place in society harmonic chart, you will start to see what makes this man tick. And of course, he's not guilty according to me. Hasn't been to trial yet, but we will see the propensities in his chart that lean him towards drugging many women and possibly deceiving them and raping them. So let's get right to it. Share a screen. Here we go. And here's Mr. Cosby's chart. Now, can you see? Boy, am I getting a hot white light. Can you see his chart? Thumbs up, good. Okay, you'll notice he's a fourth house Cancer, which means he's a kind of a double Cancer. Since the sun falls in the fourth house, he picks up extra Cancer qualities. And notice how famous he was for family, and his show in 1985, 84 became a model show for families. Born in Philadelphia, you always see him with Philadelphia shirts on, sweaters on, sweatshirts. You're going to see in his chart why he has a kind of a clownish face, kind of a funny face, where the comedian came through, but you will see where he used it as a mask. All right, you see the Mercury's in Cancer and the Mercury's next to Pluto. He's born in that generation, 1937, when Pluto was going through Cancer. Okay, so automatically when Mercury's next to Pluto 5 degrees away, it takes a Mercury that's kind of innocent in the sign of Cancer, which is your mind. Mercury is your mind in the sign of Cancer. It's kind of innocent. But when you put Pluto next to it, it makes that mind very much like a mind in Scorpio, because Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. So when you got a mind in Scorpio, you can look deeply. I mean, he's got several PhDs, right? Several honorary, but very smart man, very educated. But Mercury and Pluto is symbolic of somebody who's a detective, somebody who's a psychologist, somebody who digs deep with their mind. Also, whenever Pluto's involved, it can be somebody who's sexually obsessed. Can be. We don't know enough yet. One of the main constructs in this chart, up and down the midheaven, here's the midheaven. By the way, he does have a moon. Let's go there first. His moon is in Virgo, which is really important because it's his main planet. Moon rules Cancer. And the moon in Virgo is usually very well behaved, very hardworking, very sane, very civil, down to earth. But you put it next to Neptune. Now, when you put it next to Neptune, the moon becomes much more vague, a very psychic position, a mysterious position for the moon. It clouds over his moon. It's not going to operate like a normal moon in Virgo because of Neptune being close to it. Rising sign, Aries. Okay, Aries is what gave him his ability to look childlike, to give you that impish kind of look, that innocent kind of look where he's very engaging. You know, all that Cosby look, how it was. So the main three constructs are the sun in Cancer, the moon in Virgo, the Aries rising. Now, the ruler of a chart, get this straight, the ruler of a chart is the planet that rules the sign that's rising. So if Aries is rising, then Mars becomes the ruler of the chart. If Taurus is rising, then Venus becomes the ruler of the chart. If Aquarius is rising, then Uranus becomes the ruler of a chart. There are some exceptions, which I'm not going to get into now. But suffice it to say, his chart is ruled by Mars in Scorpio. His chart is ruled by Mars because Mars rules Aries, and his particular Mars is in Scorpio. So the way it's said properly, he is ruled by Mars in Scorpio in the 7th house. Mars in Scorpio is the position of Mars that's the most highly sexual. Very, very strong sex drive. Also in Scorpio, it can be known for, not always, but it can be known for trampling on your boundaries, going over past your boundaries. So we see the propensity there to be aggressive and go over your boundaries at the same time that the sun wants to stay at home and it's kind of peaceful and kind of wants to stay hidden in the sign of Cancer. So we have conflict already. Here's this aggressive personality who doesn't want to be aggressive. Here's Mercury next to Pluto. So the Mercury now picks up the Scorpio trait. The Mars is already in Scorpio. So we have a man who's very Cancerian and Scorpionic at the same time, regardless of the moon being next to Neptune. The moon next to Neptune, since Neptune is a ruler of Pisces, picks up a quality of Pisces. And that's why he's always had this kind of soft, if you watched him in his father role with the Cosby Show, he wasn't hard-headed and pounding his fist. The stern one was his wife. He was always kind of easy going, smooth. This was part of the facade. Now, we're getting deeper. Playful Venus in Gemini, Chiron in Gemini. Another, two more symbols of playfulness. Lighthearted, oh, I didn't mean anything. Playful. If you noticed through the years before the sexual allegations came out, what did you see with Bill Cosby? You saw, even on Facebook, you saw it all over the place. He was constantly lecturing black males to pull their pants up. And I'm talking about the way they dressed. Pull your pants up. You look stupid. This is what he would say. He was all over moralizing. Yes, John. He was all over these males because many of the black males were having fathering babies and not following through with their duties and abandoning their position with the females. To me, what I saw was projection. He was very heavy moralizing towards the black male, John saying hypocrisy, but he really wasn't doing it himself, and he was projecting it outward. And he always made sure he covered it over with that Gemini and that Aries to be kind of lighthearted, and he would laugh it off. But deep underneath, he really meant this stuff. There's a deep, very deep river flowing under this man that Liza and I looked at earlier today. And it's so deep, we even consider it to be uncontrollable. It's that deep and that heavy, very rare. So you've got two people, and it's accentuated by the one planet, the Venus in Gemini, and it's accentuated by Chiron in Gemini. Now, I'm going to tell you something, it might sound really controversial. Take it for what it's worth, but I've done thousands of charts, and I've seen the evidence. When a male has one planet in Gemini, two planets in Gemini, three planets in Gemini, the more Gemini, the more the tendency is towards perversion. And I'm telling you, it's not 100%, it's not 90%, but I'm telling you it happens a lot more than you would think. Even one planet in Gemini. And it's not that the planet says, hey, let's go get perverted. It's that the Gemini sign, the Gemini influence is one of, hey, what the heck? Let's try it. Let's see. Curious. Now, certainly, many thousands, millions of people have planets in Gemini and are not perverted. That's for sure. But I'm telling you, it's a warning sign, and it's a big warning when you find two planets there. I do lots and lots of charts, and I see it all the time. But again, you must practice restraint as an astrologer. You must be very careful not to jump the gun. These are just things to keep in mind as you keep reading, things to keep in mind. So what do we know? We've got a tender Cancer who's got a lot of moral pressure on him because Neptune's on that moon in Virgo. We don't know what the Pluto Mercury is up to. We got the Aries rising, ruled by an intense Mars in Scorpio. We got a complex personality, and I haven't even gotten to the harmonic charts yet. So bear with me, and this is why I harp so much on my students. Use a pencil when you do astrology. Light pencil, number 3, lead. You are not going to open a chart and start to read the story. It's too difficult. Start to sketch a little bit, little tiny strokes, and you'll start to see the picture built. Let's go back to the chart. At any time, feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question. Now, do you see the picture that we're painting? Now, can you all see the chart again? I know I'm getting a lot of bright white light, but I'm going to have to work on that here. All right. Now, whenever you have a 4th house sun, let alone a Cancer, anybody's sun in this position, a Leo, a Virgo, a Capricorn, anybody's sun down here at the bottom or born near midnight will have Cancer qualities. So this means that this man is very, very sensitive. And he's very sensitive with a moon next to Neptune. So I don't care what you think of him, and I don't care what a jury finds about this man. He's very, very repressed and hidden. He keeps deeply quiet within himself, while that outer self, the comedian, the stage comic, provides the outer shell. We don't know enough yet. Keep working. What do you got here? Ruling planet of the chart. Now remember, the ruler of the chart is the planet that rules the sign that's rising. The sign is Aries. The ruler of Aries is Mars. What is the ruler of Cancer? The ruler of Cancer is the moon. His natural ruler is the moon. All Cancers are ruled by the moon. All Cancers. This chart, Mars rules the chart, but the moon rules the sign of Cancer. So the moon is really critical. The moon is in Virgo. Okay, now the moon in Virgo is critical. The Mars in Scorpio is critical. And I'm telling you, one of the secrets to this chart is he's very, very critical. And he doesn't want it known. So he puts a sheen across it. A happy-go-lucky clown, bouncing and laughing on the front. Very important. Now we're going to get into good stuff.
Where's the humor coming from?
We're going to get there too.
Oh, okay.
We're getting there right now, matter of fact. With the Jupiter high in the chart, that's the humor. The Jupiter is at 22, almost 23. The ascendant's 20. The Jupiter is opposite the Sun. The Jupiter is opposite Mercury, 22, 19, 23. So there's a grand cross in this chart. Jupiter opposite Sun, Mercury, making a grand cross with the ascendant. The Jupiter is another sign of the clown face. Another sign of the skittish, evasive, put up the front. This is what made him, one of the main things that made him wanted to be a stand-up comic. He's funny. Jupiter's a funny planet. Funny, fun-filled planet. The Sun is opposite Jupiter. Mercury's opposite Jupiter. He has a lot of Sagittarian traits because Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. This is the clown of the zodiac. What else is it? It's the philosopher. What is he known for? He's known for being the clown and a philosopher. What else is Jupiter known for? Education. Every day he had a different sweatshirt on from a different university. Heavily into university, education, teaching, being a clown, being funny. All these things. You can see it all adding up now. Now, you remember how Mars rules this chart and it's in the 7th house and it's getting near the 8th house? This area of the chart, let me explain. The 7th house is relationships. Me and you, let's go out to dinner. The 8th house is the deeper part, the sex, the lust, the passion, especially the sex. As planets come through the house, they start to pick up the nature of the next house. So this is 4 degrees away. Mars is starting to affect this 8th house, and it's the ruler of the chart. And when it gets in this position, remember, these 2 houses are the houses of relationships. So it shows he's not passive and waiting on women to come to him. This shows he's aggressive, and it's opposite Uranus. This is a whole different story. When it's opposite Uranus, now the Mars takes on a fanatical sense. Mars opposite Uranus is not always this way, but Mars opposite Uranus can be, you can be out of control. The Mars can't contain itself. Karen, you have it, but your Mars is in Capricorn, I believe. It's a whole different story. The Mars in Scorpio, you don't have the containment. I need to mute somebody there. Let's see. There we go. You don't have the ability to contain. Now, the problem with Scorpio is this. Scorpio wants to merge with what it sees. It sees the light in you. It sees the beauty in you. It wants to merge with that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you don't have it contained, or you have too much Scorpio, it becomes compulsive. I got to have it. Now we're getting somewhere. I got to have it. And Scorpios will even use that erroneous word. I need it. They don't need it. But you'll hear it all the time with Scorpios. I need that dress. I need that lipstick. I need that house. They're so passionate. They don't need it. They want it. They think they need it because their desire is so strong in its purity. Their desire is so strong to fuse with the other, with the light in the other. Taurus on the other end, me and my stuff. Opposite Taurus, Scorpio. Us and our stuff. Taurus, me and my stuff. Scorpio, us and our stuff. Pure Scorpio, Karen DeBerry, you've got something great. I want to fuse with you. Let's fuse. But if I don't want it, or if I can't control it, then I'm going to come take what's yours. That's the problem with an abusive Scorpio, which happens much more with the male gender than it does with the female, because it's more of a male thing. Which is why I said in the book, in the Scorpio chapter, if I were talking to my son and if he were dating a Scorpio woman, I would ask him one question. When you're with her, do you feel empowered or do you feel sucked dry? And it's really that simple. Because when you're with a good Scorpio, it makes you feel strong and you get stronger. And they're so strong, everybody picks it up and they love it. But when you're with one on the dark side, they're going to suck your energy. And it comes from that compulsiveness. And that's why I've told so many people for years, when you have a Scorpio, basically, you don't want many planets in Scorpio beside the sun. You just don't, because it's too strong. And that tendency to want becomes take. So now you've got his Mars in Scorpio, which is in between the 7th and 8th house, which is an aggressiveness. We got to find out what makes him sneaky. I mean, if this is true, what makes him sneaky to put people to sleep and sexually abuse him, if he did? I mean, I don't know. Awful lot of women, 30 to 50 that we know of, have accused him. Where's that underhandedness coming from? I think it's coming from he can't control it. And when you see his past life chart, you're going to see why. And beyond that, what's really happening, in my opinion, he's so sensitive that that's the way he stays safe. Because by abusing women, controlling them, drugging, having sexual abuse, if that happened, you don't have to invest the real self. You stay safe. But yet you dominate. Perfect picture. You're safe, you get to dominate. What almost everyone was a classic beauty, right? Almost everyone was a supermodel.
Rick.
You know, the 10s.
Rick, it's Karen Shanahan.
Yeah.
He abused unconscious women so that
You're
there
going
was
to need to
no
speak up. You're going to need.
judgment.
Can you speak up, please?
Yeah, he abused unconscious women so that there's no way they could judge his performance, no way they could judge who he is.
Safe.
Safe.
Very good. Very good point.
But it's the mirror to his own unconscious emotions.
That's
Because
right. But I
that's
want
all he can relate to is he doesn't even know really why he's doing and what he's doing because it's his entire emotions because of the moon Neptune, they're all unconscious.
But I want you to keep in mind here, and I speak for the group. We don't know if he's guilty. He's never been on trial, but we're talking hypothetically what the chart says could be. He could override this stuff, but I don't think so. All very good comments so far. Let's go back in now. Now, the moon next to Neptune, the exact definition of that is unconscious women. The moon is cloudy, unconscious, fuzzy, hard to nail down. The moon is women. Now, the Mars being opposite Uranus, which is in Taurus, in Scorpio, you got a Scorpio-Taurus opposition, which is all about having your mind. I made you mine. Okay? Saturn in Aries. I don't know about you, but when I've seen Saturn in Aries, I've seen exceptions to this. But in most cases, when I've seen Saturn in Aries, I've seen very selfish individuals. It's there for 2.5 years. And I've seen plenty of people with Saturn in Aries that weren't selfish, but I've seen an awful lot that were. And if you have a tendency towards selfishness, that can lean you towards it. You've already got Aries rising. You've already got Mars in Scorpio. It's opposite Uranus, which is a very selfish planet. The Neptune's trying to talk him out of being selfish to being more universal. The Gemini doesn't care. The Gemini just thinks it's fun and interesting. The Mercury-Pluto. Now, one of the most underrated aspects in astrology, and I've been doing this 34 years, and I'm still trying to figure it out. Jupiter opposite Pluto is very misunderstood. It's a much stronger aspect than we think. You have the expansiveness of Capricorn, the expansiveness of Jupiter, and you've got the passion of Pluto. And what this ends up being, up and down the midheaven, therefore stronger, this is a power play. This is a person into power struggles. He does this to attain power over. Now, it's at 22, almost 23, right? Always concentrate on the degree. 2249 is almost 23, right opposite Mercury. So the closest opposition is to Mercury. And this is why his mind, Mercury, is so Jupiterian, also known as Jovian, is able to just fluff it off and make fun of it. And this is why, I don't know why, but people with strong Jupiters get away with things for a long time. Okay? Now, let's go digging deeper here. We've got most of the birth chart done now. Now, under these allegations, let's take it back. When Jupiter hit the top of this chart, when Jupiter returned every 12 years, when Jupiter returned in this vicinity, that was the Cosby Show. You all remember how ultra popular this was, let alone what it did for African American families, becoming a model family on top of the world. But when Saturn hit here, just a few years ago, right now Saturn's here. About 7 years ago, Saturn was here. Why is this a big deal? Let me go back and show you. Do you see an outer wheel and inner wheel? No? Okay. Thank you, Alki. I have to reload it sometimes. Now you should see an outer wheel and an inner wheel, right? Do you see it now? Okay. Let's go back. You see Saturn now is back in Virgo, about 2007. Back when Saturn was in Virgo, about 8 years ago, what else was going on about that time? Pluto moved into Capricorn opposite Cancer. His problems started for real in 2007, 2008. But when Saturn hit the moon Neptune, one, it hit his moon, ruler of Cancers. It hit the Neptune. What does this mean? You think you're going to hide? You think you're going to be allowed to stay in hiding with your moon Neptune? And Saturn's here? And it's in the 6th house in Virgo? Saturn, hey, let's show what's real here. Remember that Jupiter keeps getting him out of trouble. This is a very badly placed Jupiter. Why? Because it's in the worst sign it can be in. Jupiter's in Capricorn. Jupiter is not happy in the restrictive sign of Capricorn, the most expansive planet there is, in the most restricted sign there is. But still, it's Jupiter and it's strong. So when Saturn started kicking off this moon Neptune is when things started crashing for him. Now let's come up to now. Here's where the planets are now. Okay? Saturn is in the 8th house. That's not the point. The big deal, matter of fact, we had a grand cross today. Did you see it today? This is the outer planets. Pluto, Moon, Uranus, Jupiter. Today. Pluto, Widow Moon in Cancer. A lot of moodiness today. Uranus, Jupiter. 4, 16, 19, 23, 20. But, look. Since Pluto's gone into Capricorn, here's the midheaven right here. The midheaven is your career. It is your place in society. It is your place from which you fall from the heights. Let's go back. Let's put Pluto right on the midheaven. Stepping back by years, look at that. 2013. 2013, Pluto crossed the top of his chart. Heavy-duty stuff. Threats to his position. Now let's come up to now. Pluto's at 16. His sun is at 19. Pluto's at 16. His sun is at 19. His ascendant is 20. His descendant is 20. Pluto is forming a grand cross, a very slow-moving grand cross, up and down his midheaven with the sun. And what does Pluto do? It challenges whether you've been using your power right or abusing it, Mr. America. America's chart's going through the same thing. Are you using your power or are you abusing it? This is what it's catching up to him. He can't avoid it much longer. Do you see the picture? I'm not going to go much longer with this because I want to do other charts, but I want to show you some harmonic charts. Now, a harmonic chart is a very advanced chart. Most astrologers don't even know they exist. It is a derivative of a birth chart. It is done mathematically. For instance, it's also numerological. So when I calculate the 4th harmonic, it's like the number 4, which is Cancer, and it's about your emotions. When I do the 7th harmonic, it's calculated according to the number 7. In astrology, it's the sign of Libra. So you use the 7th harmonic to give you hints about the person's relationships. I use 12 and 6 the most from trial and error. 12 is the big one. It's a Pisces number, and the 12th harmonic shows me the past life tendencies. 6 I use for a person's destiny or their job or career. Now is when you're going to see Mr. Cosby unveiled here. Watch this. It's not in the past life chart, but I'm going to show it to you. Here's the past life chart. Liza and I studied this earlier. We could not come to any conclusion because it was so difficult with Uranus and Pluto up and down the midheaven. These are so powerful universal forces that when they're up and down the midheaven, they represent the collective. There's no way you're going to channel this energy. There's just no way you're going to control this energy. It's just too powerful, let alone sending the whole thing through Venus and Saturn. So you're sending this entire chart through Venus and Saturn, which is known to be being very emotionally closed and being careful, not letting people in. So you can see this guy's got a collective history of being plugged up emotionally, doesn't really know what to do with it. And what did he? This chart usually shows why you set up your birth chart the way you did. But how can we make that link? How can we make the jump from this chart, which is so out of control and frustrated, to why he set his birth chart up as he did? What can we say? Well, let's go back to the birth chart. Do you see it now? The birth chart? Okay. My opinion is he set this chart up to spiritualize his moon. To see, Cancer is not a sign that's very universal. Cancer is usually a sign that let's keep everything nice and happy within the family and I'm content. It's not big picture, it's small picture. It's necessary. So I think he took this lifetime to learn to spiritualize his emotions. And this is the great story. Watch this one. The best thing that might happen to his soul is to be nabbed for all these crimes. It might be the best thing that ever happened. We don't know. If he gets 50 years in jail, we don't know. We don't know what the soul needs. But this is the chart. It's not that chart. It's the eighth harmonic. The eighth harmonic is the power chart, the sexual chart. And this is why I showed you this chart tonight. In the eighth harmonic, here it is. Do you see Saturn and Mars up here? Okay. This is eighth harmonic, Scorpio chart, sexual tendencies, ability to fuse with another. I love watching this screen and I'm looking through a magnifying glass of myself. That's really intriguing. Okay, look at this chart. Mars opposite Pluto. Venus opposite Uranus. This is somebody who's extremely flirtatious. Nothing wrong with that, but he can't even stop the flirtatiousness. But what happens with Venus, Uranus, according to Mr. Arroyo, is you can't stop yourself. You just love meeting new women, meet new men. Give me a drink. Let me meet you. Let's go dancing. You just get excited from it. And you turn women on just as fast as you turn them off, which would explain the great number. But this is the intrigue of the excitement of it. Now, the Mars-Pluto got nothing to do with the excitement of it. It's the sexual drive and the domination of. And it's really, really powerful. Mars opposite Pluto, 17, 14. So now you've got Sun opposite Uranus, Sun opposite Chiron, Venus opposite Uranus. You got a very powerful first house, seventh house, which means he's got this very excitable need for relationships, but he wants to dominate them. So the secret to all this as we wrap this up is this. Pluto's coming right here. Pluto's here about 15 right now. Very soon, Pluto will be at 19. Let's look at the exact date. When will Pluto oppose the Sun? This is when he will be on the grill. I guarantee on the grill. Pluto opposite the sun. May 23rd has already started this year. October 7th we just had. The next one's March 15th. So he's already been under the gun. I'm sorry. I'm using the wrong chart. Let's do it now. Here it is. I was wrong. It's going to postpone till next January. So
He's old and frail.
Pluto will oppose his sun getting close in this January, but the next January, the January of 18, so 13 months from now, is when he will stand before the judge.
Rick, I have a question. What if I buy into everything you're saying? Why would he get married if he has an insatiable desire to be?
Well, you got to remember that the Jupiter's in Capricorn.
The Cancer sun in the 4th house. That's why he got married, I
The
think.
sun in the 4th house, all those things, yes. Yes, but the Jupiter in Capricorn is very overwhelming. Plus, it was the 50s and 60s, right? When that's what you did. But the Jupiter being in Capricorn, there's a great need to do things properly, be seen properly. And she's exactly right. The Cancer energy is very strong. And the guy's not a rat. I mean, he in some ways, I guess. The moon Neptune in the 6th house has a lot of really good things about it. It does want to help. It wants to help people. It is universal. But I think that the past life chart is so unconscious. It's so feverishly out of control. And the 8th harmonic is so underhanded.
I have a question.
Yes, Susan.
This is Helena.
I'm sorry. I got
It's
the
no
wrong.
problem.
Speak up, please.
The question is, he's got this Pluto coming over to meet his son. He's an old and frail man. Is he going to survive this?
I'm not going to ever predict any question that starts with, is this going to?
Okay, gotcha.
I don't
Gotcha.
predict events. Well, let me ask you something. The United States has heavy transits. The United States really sick. The United States going through a lot of heavy transits. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think it's going to be glory-filled?
Nope.
It doesn't look good. You got
No.
a man here that's aging. He's aging before your eyes. You got people popping out of the woodwork one at a time.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good. You cannot look. You cannot look with what you want to see. You have to look objectively. And it doesn't look good.
Gotcha.
Now, I will tell you, without a doubt, I'll tell you this. From my experience. Yes, John.
Yeah, I've got it coming
If
next.
he relents, if he gets honest, he will up his chance of doing better in every way. I mean, that's not just some moral from some children's book. Same with the U.S. If we go to North Dakota and apologize to the Indians, if we go to the Middle East and get straight with people, if we start playing honestly, the odds of the U.S. getting better, everything gets better. You keep up your old habits, everything gets worse.
Yeah.
John is, you can read what John's writing here. Very true statements. So your question's very simple. See, when Pluto's on you, it's time to get real. That's a period. See that period?
Yep.
It's time to get real. You're not going to BS this planet. And when you got a strong Jupiter, and you got 2 planets in Gemini, and you got Neptune near your moon, Mr. Trump, Mr. Cosby, you get away with BSing people. Mr. Trump has Saturn all over his sun and moon, and he's got it on his Mercury in December, which is why things are getting pretty heated. I'm not making any predictions there either. When heavy planets hit somebody, and it looks like, oh, going to hit the fan now, the judge is here, well, we're going to see it now, and the dumb astrologers come out and say, this is going to happen, you're going to get egg on your face. I have seen people BS planets and get by the most vicious, intense planets you can think of, and they'll get by it, but it only appears that they get by it, because you can never buffalo a natural energy from inside. So what happens is you either integrate and become healthier and stronger, or you continue to fall to pieces. You start to disintegrate. What's your word for it, Liza? Not disassemble, when you start to fall apart, there's a word you told me, I forget what it is. Deconstruct? Yeah, deconstruct. That's it. You assimilate, Gary knows about this, you assimilate, come together, or you deconstruct. I don't care what happens, if he doesn't do it right, he's going to deconstruct in front of your eyes. Or he's innocent and he'll be all right. I'm not the judge.
I wonder about that Pluto-Uranus opposition. I wonder if that has something to do with him being such a figurehead, and how he was so influential for the Black. It's a universal collective
That's
energy.
a very good
So the
point.
reason why he's so upfront, I mean, he's a very popular person. He's a public person.
Yeah.
He's going to shift the mindset of the collective because of
I
what
think that's a good, very, very good point. Yeah. Yeah. And not only that, Elke, but the point Liza and I talked about earlier is you can't get out of it. You're part of that, just like Putin and the players now, Trump, are part, and Obama, they're part of the collective message. They're avatars of the positive and negative message. You're exactly right. He plays the same role.
And he would be, I think it's a karmic role that he plays.
Yeah.
That somehow
Yeah,
he signed up for to be the punching boy in order to move the collective forward.
Well,
yes.
I'm not sure. You see, that implies to me that he's got a bunch of good karma. And
no, he's got
that implies to me, you said he's volunteering to be the punching boy. That implies to me that you're so big that you're doing it as a favor to everybody around you. When I do charts, about, this is my opinion, about 80% of the charts I've ever done, people are coming back into this lifetime to work on their own issues. About 19% of the people are coming back to work on collective issues, which I mean the family, the group karma, group rape, incest, alcohol, violence. You're coming back to stop the cascading of the group karma. About 1%, maybe 2%, are people who come back and their charts are so harmonious. They're coming back because they want to give. Well, that's certainly not the case of Mr. Cosby.
No. I think he had to do that. He had such rotten karma that he had to stand up there and be chastised by the rest of the world.
Well,
I think same with Trump. I mean, look at...
You got a good point.
Look at how...
I don't know how to answer that, but you got a good point.
No, we don't know, but the same with Trump. I mean, look at how he's being ridiculed by probably the majority of the people in the world. That's tough.
But it's still attention. That's Trump's issue.
I know, but it's ridicule. Look at the jokes people make about him.
As long as he gets attention is the main thing there. Okay, but that's a different story. Now, before I finish and move on, Marta, Linda, good to see you, dear. Anybody else? John? Anybody got questions about Mr. Cosby's chart? In case you didn't give it, let me give it to you again, in case you want to do it yourself. This comes from a wonderful site where I get the information from, called Astro Theme. It's a French site I've been using for years for data. Astrotheme.com. Very good with European people, of course, famous Americans. His birth information is July 12th of 1937, 12:30 in the morning in Philadelphia. So now I wanted to move on to Helena's chart because I just think the more we keep doing charts after charts after charts, you're going to learn. But I don't want to just dominate this. If you have questions, come up with them, and later on, when we do some questions and answers, I'll turn the recording off. But if you have any questions right now regarding that chart, please go ahead. Linda, what do you think about that chart?
I had to unmute myself. I think the eighth harmonic thing, like, just blew my mind.
Yeah.
And I also think that where Pluto's moving, and the fact that it's going to be sitting on top of the Jupiter and alongside, I mean, he's done.
That's what I think too.
He's done. I mean, it doesn't matter
done.
whether he's alive or he's not alive. I mean, that's not an issue.
I think
but it's over unless he cleans his basement.
Yeah,
like
well, you're
now.
right, but the basement's so full. I think it's just the end, but I don't know. John, being African American, what do you take from this? You're a very good astrologer. What do you take? We talked a lot about what he meant to the race, what he meant to just model families. I mean, it was a big deal, his show. What do you see with him? Because I know you'll have your own perceptions here.
Well, I'll never consider myself a spokesman of any kind. As you all know of me by now, I'm pretty unusual. I was actually having to talk about this today. But, having said that, I think Cosby did, through the Cosby Show, during a time when I think there were, you know history, you know about the racial issues in this country, that is and is still ongoing. I think the Cosby Show really did a lot for people, though, and I think both for, I think for Black people, I think it was good that people could see, hey, here's a strong Black family, Felicia Rashad and Bill Cosby is, a couple, and they have wonderful kids and all that. Yeah, you can have a good family. And, he was Cliff Huxtable was a doctor. She was a lawyer. I think that really gave people something to, even if it was just a TV show, it was still something, to be proud of, that you could say, hey, they're doing well, and this is something that you can aspire to do, and something I think that people were able to share with their kids. I think for white families and everybody else, it was also good to see, hey, at least this is a successful model of a Black family, and I think
what, John, I think is
everybody can relate to. Everybody can.
I think there's a remarkable similarity between Felicia Rashad and the First Lady.
I could see that.
That kind of Capricorn energy, upstanding, and they projected strength and respect to the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Very strong, but very upright, and you never question them. I think there's a real parallel between those two.
A tremendous amount of integrity, Rick. In 8 years, I never even thought about that. So, I love that connection. That's good. So I think it is devastating. For people, particularly among African Americans, to see, the rebuild of Cosby, and
what I'm interested in, of course, all of it, but to me, the issue that really snakes through all this is, now it makes sense to me when I hear him lecture the young Black men: stay with your wives, stay with your women, be husbands to the family. It really looks to me like he was lecturing himself.
I think he was.
And he could not get through to himself, so he projected it outward. And I think he also did care. And that need, he had that strong need to educate people.
Yeah.
Finish school. That's that Jupiter strong in the chart. I think this is a really good example of this chart.
Yeah. And that all comes through. It's just, it's a shame, all the stuff that, if I mean, there's a legal system and all that of course he has to go through, but I mean, still, it's unfortunate, if he did do these things that this is revealed at the very end of his, what's likely to be the end of his life. I mean, he's coming up on his Uranus return and his Pluto opposition. I don't see how he bounces back from this, or even.
Yeah, well, I think that's very realistic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other questions about Cosby?
Is there anything that would indicate that he would have any kind of remorse or sense of atonement?
What is your opinion? All of you. All of you. I'll show whatever chart you want. What is your opinion about? Do you think there's a remorse and atonement?
No, I think there's always a chance for that. I mean, I don't know him on a personal level, obviously. I mean, I would tend to think maybe with the water in his chart that could possibly be an avenue for that. I mean, it's obviously perceptive. I just don't know on what level that all this will resonate with him.
Remember, there's a big difference between, oh my God, I got caught, and oh my God, this was wrong.
And that's where I'm concerned about the Jupiter and the Mercury too, and the Neptune.
Fear being caught. Yeah, Martin, right. My answer is I don't think so. There's too much Aries. There's too much Mars. Imagine doing what they said he did, and to go on and on and on and on and on, decade after decade. I mean, I don't know how you could, if it's true.
Yeah.
So because of that,
I think he'll be too proud to really admit it, and I think he will probably try to be defiant up until the very end.
well, beside the pride, too much of the personality is built upon false facts.
Mhm.
Okay, we're going to move on and do Helena's chart now. Are you ready? We'll get a little bit of a.
I'm ready.
Wait, I got some weird buttons going on here. Okay, let's call Helena's chart up. Okay, here's Helena. Can you all see this? This looks quite different. Can you see it? Okay.
Yep.
We have a Sun in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio, Sag rising, 4 planets in Libra, Moon in Cancer. We got an emotional woman, don't we?
Right.
Sun in Scorpio, Moon in Cancer. Look at Mars and Saturn, same degree in the 8th house. In Cancer, same degree.
It's like
The
having
symbol of frustration.
at the same time.
The symbol of frustration.
Breaking foot on the brake, foot on the gas at the same time.
Yeah, what this comes from is she's carefully watching every step she makes. Plus, it's in Cancer. We're real careful what you're doing anyway. So this is very unusual, and this is why I tell you students, make this blink. We're going to check this out. Next thing is so incredible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 planets in Libra and Scorpio. The 2 signs of relationships. What did I say in the Exquisite Zodiac? When you have too much Libra Scorpio, even though it's up in the 10th and 11th house, when you have too much Libra Scorpio, too much is invested upon the success of relationships. Instead of how am I doing?
You can say that again.
Yeah. I'll say it again.
Maybe that's why Shakespeare's
Too much is invested upon the success of the relationship. Too much of the self-worth
shelves
is.
that are standing on, as it were, the chancel
I'm
floor.
going to
I'm
mute these.
Best of my belief.
I'm going to mute this
Stone
person.
coffins, perhaps
Having
directly under the stones is laid out.
Somebody's coming through strong. Okay, I muted all the mics. We get feedback sometimes. All right. When there's too much Libra Scorpio, remember Libra gets its identity through the partner. Scorpio gets its self-worth through the partner. So if you're getting your identity and your self-worth for somebody else, what did I say in the book? What if they leave? What is it called? S-crick? S-something crick? You're up one of those cricks. You don't have much of a paddle. And you learn the hard way. You learn after a while, by God, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to evaluate myself by myself. But the problem with too much Libra Scorpio is you bend over too much. You appease too much. You give in too much. There's a bump in the relationship and you always think, oh, it's something I did. I could modify. I could give a little more. I don't have to give 50. I could give 60%. I could give 70%. After a while, no, you left. So we see that the chart is that. And Helena, what do you think about that? What I said. Unmute yourself.
Working on it. Yeah, that's true. I've had a lot of relationships. I'm a little older these days, but I've had a lot of relationships and a lot of relationship issues. And notice there's a Uranus in the 7th house there.
That's not it. That's part of it. You know what the issue is? I'm going to go right to the point. Here's the issue. I'm a romantic 7 degrees, 7 degree. Venus, Neptune, Venus, Neptune. Open, 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 open. Mars, Saturn. Close, 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 close. I'm open, but I'm closed. I'm open, but I'm closed. I'm open, but I'm closed. There's the story. But the story is not your fault. It's not your parents. It's coming from a past life. Why does she have this ping pong going on? Why is she open and what is it called? The incurable romantic? That's what Venus Neptune is. The incurable romantic. In Libra, you got your Chiron there too. And Jupiter's there. You got this tremendous hope at saving your whole life by getting the proper relationship. But when you get it, you're driving so cautiously, you don't really want to invest. You want it.
You got me.
Okay, but that's not the point. The point is, where does this come from, Helena? And you're not going to get this answer from a traditional chart, and you're not going to get it, I'm sorry to tell you, from progressions.
Can you go past life?
You're going to get it from the past life. We're going to do that next.
All right.
All right. Now, I'm not going to guarantee a panacea here. And yeah, the Uranus in Gemini amps the whole thing up and just turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. So it's this, I'm this incurable romantic, turn it on, turn it off, stop it. But let's go back. I mean, it's just this triangle, and let alone that Scorpio sun is in the middle suffering because it really does want a meaningful relationship. And the Sag rising says, hell with all of it. It eventually just blows up. And thank God you got the Sag rising, because you need to have that escape valve. So we look at this chart and we go now to the past life and we see what? We see that I got to go do them. All right, here they are. Do you see the sun and moon up here? Everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Sun and moon. Now, the sun is 21. The harmonic charts are just what they say. Look at this chart. The sun and moon in Aries, opposite Uranus. Venus is rising, but the whole story, I don't care where anything is. Once again, everything goes through Mars, Saturn again. This theme of driving with your brakes on was given to you. It was your model parents. It was your society. It was somebody taught you. So what I'm saying, and I can say this with a lot of certainty from knowing other ones, you were taught, in my estimation here, most of the past life stuff comes from churches, from dogma, from the Hierophant. You were taught, be very active, go meet people, have fun and all, but by God, when you get in a relationship, you better toe the line. You better be careful and do exactly what you're told. And this could be, remember the old pictures of people in bed, they had a board between them?
Yeah.
This is symbolic of that. Get into the relationship. So I think it's very clear here. And I think that those planets are going to get dismantled as these current Capricorn transits happen. I think it's very simple, just a glance at the chart. You were taught that it was good to love people and all that, but when it came to personal, sensual satisfaction, oh no, And the two things are all mixed up. And I think it's that simple.
Very interesting.
I think it's that simple. And the fact that Mars-Saturn in that past life chart is being approached now by Pluto means you're getting ready to dismantle this. And here you are talking to some guy in Pittsburgh who's exposing your soul worldwide. Means you're ready for this. And you were not ready till now. You're ready to dismantle the caution. You're ready because for a while it was a pain because it was restrictive, but it became comfortable because it was useful. But now you see that it's strangling you and it's got to go. And what I'm seeing now, people don't come to me out of chance.
Yeah, there's very little
chance. This is
chance
happening
out there.
to you now because you're ready. You're ready to do the work. Let's go back and see this. Watch.
Okay.
Do you see Pluto's now at 15?
Yes.
All right, it's going to be at 21 before you know it. Uranus has been through all through here. Uranus is sitting on your sun now and your moon, trying to wake them up, but you've not been ready to work on the blockage that comes from a past life till now. Let's take a look at this. Watch here. All right. Do you see the two wheels, everybody? No? Okay. I'll do it again. Okay. You see the two wheels now? Yeah?
Yes, yes.
You see Pluto at 16? We're going to watch it from 21 through 27. And the big one, you're going to feel it on Mars, but the big one is when it's going to get to 27 and starts to dismantle the Saturn in Capricorn. And I'd be glad to coach you through this. This is not simple, but this is going to take time. You don't do it overnight. And this is a very good sign that you're having this reading because it's being exposed to you. It's being brought to light. Now let's move by years. And we'll go forward one. It's at 18. Now it's at 20. At 21. Okay. So 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years from now, it's going to start really affecting the Mars-Saturn. Let's go back and look at it this way. You'll see it better this way. Okay, that Mars-Saturn, here's the governor that's sitting on your engine, driving with your brakes on. Pluto's coming up on these over the next 2-3 years. And this lively Sun Uranus, this Sun Mercury, this Moon Uranus is going to start to free itself. And you don't want it to happen too quickly. You need time to adjust to it. Now, what that means is this. You're going to start, astrology is all about one thing, your ability to be yourself. And your chart has not been able to be itself because of these imagined or taught, these imagined things that your partner would be upset with. I can't do this because they'd be upset. I can't do this, they'd be upset. After a while, besides being restrictive, it becomes useful having that. Now you got to get rid of both. So coming into your own freedom has a lot of responsibility. but you're getting ready more and more each month.
Uh-huh.
So does everybody see how I did that? And I didn't have to do a whole lot of charts. And you could go examine her Venus and Mercury and all that. But why do it when we're dealing with the drains plugged? The drains plugged. Let's get the drain unplugged first, and then we'll deal with more minor stuff. You understand that?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
How did you arrive at the past life chart? Is that a harmonic?
All right. Hold on. Yeah, a harmonic is this. Each planet is at a degree in the zodiac,
Mm-hmm.
from 1 to 360. So, for example, I got a Jupiter at 6 degrees of Aries.
Yeah. I kind of understand harmonic, but
Hold on.
okay, I have solar fire. What button do I push?
I'm using solar fire. I'm going to harmonics. I make
Uh-huh.
sure I make sure my natal chart is selected. I go to harmonics and I pick the number I want. And past life is number 12.
12. Okay, great.
Right. All right. Let me explain it to you guys in English. A harmonic is like a guitarist that moves his finger up the string and you hear a different tone, but it's related to the whole string. The 12 is the magic number in astrology for Pisces. And Pisces, I have found through work and experimenting, it's the past life. And as a matter of fact, it's not really the past life because it's all going on at the same time. But anyhow, I'm still working on it. Work in progress. So let's look at my Jupiter. My Jupiter is at 6 degrees of Aries. Let's go look at my fourth harmonic. So you multiply everything times 4. 4 times 6 is 24. So in my fourth harmonic, which is my emotional chart, 4 is like Cancer. In my fourth harmonic, my Jupiter is at 24 degrees of Aries. So you just multiply the number times the number that planet is into the zodiac. And if you get a real big number, you just keep subtracting 360 away from it till you get less than 360 and you put it on the chart. And yes, us old timers did all this by hand in the old days. And you do the same with the midheaven and thus the houses. So I've worked with a lot of harmonics. The 12 is the big one, it's the past life. And the 6 is one I use heavily. It has to do with your destiny because it has to do with Chiron. But we dismantled your chart very quickly. We saw where you have this great love and this great desire and you're really romantic.
Mm-hmm.
You're also, really like meeting all these people, talking. But then for whatever reason, you got this rule, no, you're not going to fuse. And that's usually because of the fear of God that was put into you. And I mean literally that. Because I believe the biggest problem in the world is religion.
Mm-hmm.
And misunderstanding what God is. That's my opinion. But
Yeah.
I think that it's symbolic to me that you've worked through these things and you don't take your training wheels off too quickly.
Uh-huh.
When you're little, the training wheels are on or they're off. Well, not in planets. Planets, they got to come off slowly, gradually. And I bet you can look back into your past now and see all the less than favorable experiences that you had in relationships and see where there were no-win situations.
Yes.
Because you were open, but you couldn't have it. When you started to have it, you felt like you're breaking a rule. And believe me, a 12th harmonic is very subconscious. You don't even know why. You just feel like you're breaking the rule. You feel bad.
Yeah.
And remember, Scorpios are very pure. They're very pure people. They don't want to break the rules. They want to do things that keeps God happy. They do.
Uh-huh.
Now, what do you think of all this blab I just gave you?
I think it's very, very interesting, and I think that if there's a past life thing, is why I came in with such huge resentments against religion in general. And, I spent my life trying to find my own religion and my own spirituality, I should say.
Well, we can find even more about that this way. We can take your birth chart and we can do your ninth. We'll go get rid of Cosby here. Goodbye. We can take your birth chart and do your ninth harmonic, which is your philosophy. See what we find there. A lot of people think the ninth harmonic is the most important. I don't think it's that important. But let's go see what it says. The ninth harmonic is like Sagittarius. It's your belief. It's your philosophy. Let's see what we find. It's your religion. Oh my goodness. Let's rewind the tape. I came into this life with a lot of resentment towards religion.
Uh-huh.
Is that what you just said?
That's
John,
what I said.
John, is that what the record showed? Okay, look at this chart. Having it out. Huh? Having it out. Sun, Pluto, 1 degree away, 50 minutes away. Moon, Sun, Moon, Pluto, opposite Jupiter, Chiron. I'll tell you exactly what that means. You're trying to break the rules. What is wrong with you? And Scorpio is the defiant sign. Scorpios love to break the rules. So, here's the story. The story is very simple now. I don't even think you need a reading because of this. The story's very simple. You had the restriction from the past life. It restricted you. Then it became comfortable. Now you're being asked to give up your comfort. That's simple. And it ain't easy, huh, Karen? Karen DeBerry. What do you think? You've been watching patiently. Turn your mic on. Please.
Who?
Karen D. What do you think?
I think that it's nice that we get to work through them when we're ready.
Really is right, yes.
Because if you try to do it too quick, you
can't do it.
No, you're forcing something it's sort of like you're trying to eat a cake that's not done.
One night, the other Karen, with the S down here, one night she and I were in class with a woman, wonderful woman, a long time ago, that lost her 5-year-old daughter because of what was it? Not emphysema. What's when you can't breathe?
Cystic fibrosis?
Little kids and they can't breathe. They have
Asthma?
Asthma.
Asthma. The little kid, 5 years old, had an asthma attack. Took the child to the emergency room. They gave the wrong medicine. The child died. Absolutely tragic. The mother, years later, maybe 10 years later, was in our class one night. When the mother was finally ready to talk about it, we put the chart of the child on the screen, and I can't remember, but it was like Uranus was on the child's sun exactly that night. Pluto was on the sun exactly that night. We're all interconnected by this phenomenal network that's called the exquisite zodiac. So here we have a 5-year-old who's gone for at least 10 years. The chart was not ready to be discussed. The woman wasn't ready to see it. When people saw Elvis 10 years after his death, his chart was on fire. That's why he was seen. All charts are interlinked, and it's just amazing to consider that. But in that particular case, this woman was ready to look at the child's death and discuss it, which must have been very difficult. So in your situation, Elena, your chart is ready to uncover the blockage. Now, the trouble with blockage is we're human and we love to blame ourselves or our parents. I would tell your mom and dad right now that they're not responsible for this.
Uh-huh.
Karen S., what's your opinion about this story? You're a fellow Scorpio. What is your opinion about tonight's story with Helena?
Well, I think it's right on the money, and I think it's a I mean, you know, my history relationships are kind of the heavy duty part of my work too. I think that looking at the ninth harmonic was really fascinating.
Yes.
Well,
That was a piece of it that I wouldn't have anticipated.
Well, Mr. Moses Sirigar, who's a fine author and a very fine astrologer out of Arizona, he and I were at it one night on Facebook, and he claimed to me that he thought the ninth harmonic was the chart. The chart. And I just did my research, and I did not agree. But that's what he maintains. So you're free to look at it, but I use 6 and 12 the most.
But it depends on the individual.
Well, she says it depends on the individual. What I'm saying to you is, after looking at the ninth harmonic, for many people, I've not found much significance compared to how significant the 12th is.
Well, I know, but in her case where she points out that religion was
Yeah, that's right.
Could it be the Sag rising that makes it more significant?
I don't know. It's possible. I really don't. I don't know enough about the ninth harmonic to answer that question, but I think it was really, you lit the lamp when you came right out punching. You said, boy, I just had it out all my life with these religious repressions, and I think it's symbolized clearly in your ninth and your 12th.
Uh-huh.
But because somehow somebody taught you, Mars, Saturn, same degree, somebody taught you not to move.
Oh, yes.
Well, how can I love somebody I can't move? That's kind of the gesture I get from the charts.
There's a couple of things I'd like to tell you here that I'm not going to tell you online. I'm going to
That's
write
fine.
them to
You and I can talk privately. That'd be fine. Yeah. Hello, you strangers in Ocean City.
Hi.
Okay.
I have a quick question.
I'm gonna shut the recording off before I play my juice.